So I didn't get to go to the pep rally today because I had Honors Algebra 1 third period. So I won't get to go to any of the pep rallies, which is such a bummer. So I missed it. All right. How was the pep rally? Good. Okay. All right. Well, your homework tonight, just so you guys know, I know you guys came in and said, oh, we only have 4 problems. Okay, 16 and 17 are a review from last night. 16 and 17 are a review from last night. So they're just more where you're given the vertex in a point or given the x-intercepts in a point. So if you had trouble with those, some of you forgot to use the y-coordinate. Some of you forgot to switch the signs. Some of you, I heard, what your mistakes were. You'll get another opportunity to practice one of those. So always make sure that you check what information is given to me. Am I given the vertex in a point? I'm going to use vertex form. Am I given the x-intercepts in a point? I'm going to use intercept form. Okay, so check for that. Then our third method that we're going to use, that we're going to talk about today, is if you are given 3 points. If you are given 3 points, you're going to use standard form to create 3 equations. Okay, 3 points, 3 equations. And that's what we're going to do right now. So let's take a look first. Determining if a table of values is quadratic. Well, we know this is quadratic because if I have y equals x squared, what's negative 3 squared? 9. What's negative 2 squared? 4. What's negative 1 squared? 0, 0, 1. So this is the quadratic function y equals x squared. Well, do you guys remember finding the first differences? You did this in Algebra 1. And when you find the first differences, you should take this minus that. What is 9 minus 4? 5. What is 4 minus 1? What is 1 minus 0? 1. What is 0 minus 1? Negative 1. What's 1 minus 4? And what's 4 minus 9? Okay, so is it linear? Remember, if the first differences are the same, it's linear. It's a line. If the first differences are the same, you're done because it's a line, and it can't be a line and a U at the same time. So after you find the first differences and you're like, those are not the same, now you find the second differences. What is 5 minus 3? 2. What's 3 minus 1? Now, be careful. What's 1 minus negative 1? 2. What's negative 1 minus negative 3? 2. What's negative 3 minus negative 5? 2. So since all of the second differences are the same, we would say this is quadratic, which we knew that because we knew what the second difference is, or what that table represented. So if they don't tell you the table is quadratic, you could use the second differences to determine if it is linear or quadratic. Okay? Next one. Write an equation. Now this one tells you of the parabola, so that means it's what? Quadratic. Okay? And all we know is it passes through these 3 points. It doesn't tell you that any one of them is the vertex, and none of them are the x-intercepts. So we cannot use vertex form and we cannot use intercept form. Okay? So we are going to use y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And let's look at our first point. Our first point is the point x, y. So we're going to come into this equation, and everywhere we see an x, we're going to let it be negative 1, and everywhere we see a y, we're going to let it be 4. So I have y equals, so 4 equals a times x squared, so negative 1 squared, plus b times negative 1 plus c. Does everybody see how I plug those values in? Now, let's clean this up a little bit. What's negative 1 times negative 1? 1. So I get 4 equals 1a, and then what b? Minus 1b, and then plus how many c's? Just 1 c. So there's my first equation. Are you guys cool with my first equation? All right, well now I'm going to go to the second point. And now everywhere I see an X, I'm going to plug in 0, and everywhere I see Y, I'm going to plug in 1. So again, for Y, I'm going to plug in 1, A times 0 squared plus B times 0 plus C. Let's clean that up. What's 0 squared? So I have how many A's? 0. How many B's? How many C's? So don't I really have 1 equals C? Okay. That's my middle equation. That'll be helpful to us in a minute. My third equation. Same thing again. What are you guys going to plug in for Y? 7. Okay. A times X squared. So what's X? 2 squared plus B times 2 plus C. So that's 7 equals, what's 2 squared? So I have 4A plus what? 2B plus C. So I have 3 equations with 3 unknowns, kind of. Because I know that C is equal to what? 1. So I need to solve these equations for A, B, and C. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in and I'm going to plug in for A, B, and C. You're going to tell me Y equals 2x squared minus 3x plus 5. Whatever the equation is. All right. So we're going to come in and we're going to say, okay, I got to solve these. But I know that C is 1. So I can come here in the red and the blue equation, and I can let C be 1. So let's do the red equation first. 4 equals 1A minus 1B plus 1. Let's get A and B by itself and all the constants to the other side. What would you guys do with that one? Subtract it over, and what do you get for the red equation? 3 equals what? 1A minus 1B. Okay? Now let's work with the blue equation. I had 7 equals 4A plus 2B plus C, which was 1. Now let's get that A and B by itself. Move this over. What are you guys going to do? Subtract 1 and you get what? 6 equals 4A plus. So now I need to solve these 2 equations. I'm going to put this one underneath that one. You could use substitution or elimination. Probably not going to graph it. So do you guys want to use substitution or elimination? Neither. Elimination, right? Do you want to eliminate A or B? B. I think B is easier. A is not hard. You could multiply the red one by -4. Or if I want to, I could multiply this by what? 2. By +2. When I do, what do I get there? 6 equals 2A. Sorry, what? 2A minus 2B. And then I'm going to bring the blue equation over. What happens when I add? I get what? 12 equals about 6A? Yep. Now what? Divide by 6, and what's A? 2. Now, do you guys want to use the top equation or the bottom equation to find B? Top. So 3 equals 1 times A minus B. That's 2. What do you guys want to do now? Minus 2. You get 1 is negative B. So what's B? -1. So now we've got A, we've got B. Don't forget at the very beginning we had C was equal to 1. So you go into y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and you plug in a, b, and c. Because remember, when you're done, you're always going to have the equation with the independent and dependent variables x and y there for us. So we get y equals what? 2x squared minus 1x plus 1. If you have 1 in front of that x, that's fine. You don't have to. Whew, now you see why you don't have a ton of work. I mean, a ton of problems tonight. Questions there? All right. NASA can create a weightless environment by flying a plane in parabolic paths. So, what they tell you? Parabolic, so it's what? Quadratic, all right? The table shows the height in feet of a plane t seconds after starting the flight path. After about 20.8 seconds, passengers begin to experience a weightless environment. Write and evaluate the function to approximate the height at which this occurs. So, first thing it wants you to do is what? Write a function. All right, well, in order to write in a function, you need to either have a point in the vertex. Okay, do I have the vertex that I know of? No. I need the point and 2 x-intercepts. Do I have any x-intercepts? No. Or I need 3 points. Do I have 3 points? Yeah, I have more than 3 points. So we need to pick 3 points to work with. Which 3 points are you guys going to work with? First 3? Okay. So 10, 26,900, 15, 29,025, 20, 30,600. All right. Oh boy, I know. These are icky numbers, aren't they? We're going to go into y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. First point is xy. What are you guys going to plug in? I'm going to come over here a little bit so I have some room. What are you guys going to plug in for y? 26,000. Sorry, I'm just reading. Okay, sorry. My best friend. I'm joking. My best friend since 4th grade. My best friend since 4th grade lives in the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina, and they are experiencing like catastrophic flooding in her town. And they own a restaurant, and it's up to the walls in their restaurant. And it's so sad. It's so sad. So I'm worried about her because they asked people in the town to evacuate, but because of their restaurant, they didn't evacuate, and I'm just worried about her. Anyway, so we've been texting all day. All right, so x or y, what's x? 10 squared. You know what the biggest mistake you guys will do? You'll forget the what? Squared. Yeah. Okay. Plus b times 10 plus c. So what does this equation become? 26,900 equals what? 100a plus 10b plus c. All right. Oh, I got to write smaller. How about this one? Now what's y? 29,025 equals a times 15 squared plus b times 15 plus c. Okay, so what does that equation become? Well, 29,000, and some of you will just go straight to this. What's 15 squared? What's 15 squared? 225a plus 15b plus c. Okay, now next one. let's use X and Y. Kind of looking in hindsight, and look, I just glanced down at my notes. I used those 3 points. Why do you think I used those 3 points? Yeah, 10, 20, 30, but it's okay. We can keep working with what we're working with. So we have 30,600 equal to A times 20 squared plus B times 20 plus C. So what does this give us? 30,600 equals, what's 20 squared? 400A plus 20B plus C. Okay. So now I have 3 very big equations with 3 unknowns. So we've got to solve this. And the way we're going to do this, remember we did this once before. We don't have like example 1 where we had C and we knew C. We're going to call this equation 1. We're going to call this equation 2 and this equation 3. Do you guys want to eliminate A, B, or C? Okay. Yeah, y'all should have been yelling C. Okay, because C will be way easier to eliminate. Which equations do you guys want to work with first? Doesn't matter. 1 and 2. And what are you going to do to eliminate C? One of them has to be what? Negative. Do you want to make 1 negative or 2 negative? Okay, I will tell you, since 1 has smaller numbers, when you add them together, it makes that new equation positive. Do you see that? So let's make 1 negative. So if I multiply equation 1 by a negative, what do you guys get? Negative 26,900. And then what? Negative 100A minus 10B. Let's see. Bring down equation 2. 29,025. 225A. 15B and C. Okay, so when I add these together, what do you guys get here? 2,100 and what'd you get here? 125A plus what? 5B. All right, so we did equations 1 and 2. Now I have to use equation what? 3. Do you want to use 1 and 3 or 2 and 3? 1 and 3? Okay, do you want to make 1 negative again?
Yeah.
Okay, so negative 26,900. Board's being leggy. Equals negative 100A minus 10B minus C. And then I'm going to bring equation C down. Oh my gosh, I can't stand how slow my writing is right now. Add those together. What do you guys get? 3,700 equals what? 300A plus 10B. All right. So looking at these equations, are you guys going to make A opposite or B? B. What are you going to do to this equation? Make it, multiply it by negative 2. So when you multiply by negative 2, what do you get? You get negative what? 4250. You get negative what? 250. And you get what? Negative 10B. All right. So now let's add those together. What do we get here? We get negative 550 equals what? $58. And then what? Divide by 50. And what do you get? A is negative 11. Okay, that's fine. Just means it opens down. Whoosh. Okay, now what do we do? Which equation do you guys want to go into to find B? The one on the left or the one on the right? Left? This one? Okay, so 2125 equals 125 times negative 11 plus 5B. What's 125 times negative 11? 13. I mean, this is just ugly because of the big numbers. Yucky big numbers. How are we going to solve this now? Add it over. Oh, that's 21. Sorry, I brought that number down wrong. Okay, so plus 21, 25. What'd you guys get? 3,500 equals 5B. Divide by 5. And what'd you get for B? 700. Jeez. Okay, we doing good so far? How do we find C? Go back into one of the three equations at the top. Which one do you guys want to go into at the top? 1. So you guys had 2,600. That was that one top one. Okay. So 2,600. Not 26. Sorry, 26,900 equals 100 times A plus 10 times B plus C. Okay. What was 10 times, or 100 times negative 11? Negative 1,100. And then 700 times 10 is just 7,000. Add those together. What do you guys get? 5,900. What do we do to solve this? Subtract 5,900. And what's C? 21,000. So we have A, negative 11. B is 700. C is 21,000. Remember, you're plugging into y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So what's my equation? Y equals what? Negative 11x squared plus, not b, 700x. 700 is b plus what? Yeah. When you're done, you should have nothing but x's and y's in your left in your equation. Nothing but x's and y's. Whew! That's like, right? I know. Happy Friday. All right. You got 10, so like 13 minutes. 4 problems. 16, 17, 21, 22. Crank out 16 and 17 first.